Hey guys, what's up? I'm
Hey,
Pastor
what's up, guys?
Really? So, this is my a lot older brother, Pastor Cody. My youth group, you should know him. We go to camp with their youth group all the time. And so you guys know Pastor Cody. For Pastor Cody's youth group, I'm Pastor Travis, and this is one of my students, Miley. And today, we're going to bring you your Wednesday night Bible study. We're in week 2 of quarantine services, and so we have a Bible verse that we want to sort of start off with, and that's Romans chapter 8, verses 28. And it says, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." And so tonight we're just going to talk about how God can turn anything around and he can make anything work for his good. Pastor Cody, why don't you explain a little bit what we're going to do tonight?
So we're looking at this as an opportunity. I know some of you guys, things have been canceled, sports, school, things that you were looking forward to have been canceled now, and so you're having to make adjustments and do all these different things. But you also are finding yourself with a ton of free time. Yeah, you might have to do some schoolwork on the computer and things, but you have the ability to do things that you've always said, I don't have time to do. And so we feel like the scripture says, God works all things. So maybe this is an opportunity, as bad as it might be and as tough as it is, maybe this is an opportunity that God can help grow your relationship with him. Maybe there's things that you've always said, man, I would read my Bible if I had more time. Or I would do my devotion and my prayer time if I had more time, if I didn't have so much schoolwork, if I didn't have sports. Hey, guess what? They're all canceled. So this is a perfect opportunity. So tonight, we're going to be looking at this, but we're also going to be sharing with you just some Bible stories. These are, what do we call them?
These are obscure Bible stories.
Obscure Bible stories, because this is that time where you get to study and do things you maybe have not done before. So we're going to tell you some different Bible stories and that you may not have heard in Sunday school, or you may have not heard in a while. So we're going to talk to these things, but we also have something special we're going to do with these hot wings. Travis, why don't you tell us?
So something obscure that I have never done, I don't think you guys have ever done this challenge either, is doing the blazing challenge from Buffalo Wild Wings. If you've ever done this challenge before, you know how painful this can be, how uncomfortable this can be, and how obscure this can be. I don't necessarily go to Buffalo Wild Wings and just want to order the blazing wings for my eating pleasure. Do you go to Buffalo Wild? Miley's over here trying to wipe off the wings with a paper towel. That's how scared she is of doing this. But we're doing something obscure while we're talking about our obscure Bible stories. So Pastor Cody's going to start us off. But here is our little challenge that we're doing during this Bible study. Each one of us has a box of wings. We have the traditional wings with the bones in them, and they each have the blazing sauce on them. And they look extra wet, and so they have a lot of sauce. But also, each one of us has Bluebell ice cream, and each one of us has a gallon of milk, and each one of us has 1 packet of ranch to use while we eat our wings. All right? So the challenge is, who can last the longest without taking a drink of their milk or taking a bite of their ice cream? All right? So who can last the longest out of all of this? And before we start, one more thing. I'm going to mention an Easter egg. If you guys don't know what an Easter egg is, it's something hidden within the video. And so you guys might want to be paying attention. I'll send out a text message to all of my guys about what our Easter egg has to do with. And so if you can be the first person to text me about the Easter egg that I leak here tonight, then you'll win a quarantine prize. And so without further ado, guys, are you guys ready for this challenge? Miley, you look super excited.
Not so sure about excited, but
that's what I like to hear.
Right? She's
hey,
in the
if
the
you can
space.
do this challenge, you can do anything that camp wants you to do eating wise. I believe it. So keep that in mind.
No more stalling. Let's get to it. All right, get a wing.
First wing, first story.
Hold on, let's eat the wing first, just so everyone knows. get an idea of how hot this is going to be. All right, ready?
Yep.
And go.
Oh, it's like immediate.
Oh, man. A little hot.
I recommend.
Oh, my goodness.
If you guys have an issue with touching your face before this,
Oh, my goodness, that's hot.
you're not going to have an issue after this.
It's making me dizzy.
I feel like I'm going to get the hiccups. Oh, there they come. There they come. They're coming.
This is a perfect opportunity
There they come. This is bad.
for you to start talking about. This is a perfect opportunity for you to start talking
Oh, my
about
goodness. I can't
your
help it.
Bible story.
Okay, let's try and get through a Bible story. Ugh. So, for my Bible story, oh my goodness, I'm going to talk about a guy named Josiah. And in 2 Kings chapter 22, oh man, it says Josiah was 8 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem for 31 years. Oh. I didn't even need a whole wing. Like, that is hot. Oh, my goodness. Okay, so this kid, Josiah, he's 8 years old. And Jackson, my son, is 7. He's going to turn 8 years old in July. Crying. And I can't imagine Jackson being a king. Because that would be nuts and that would be crazy. But here this kid was. Josiah was made king, and something really cool that happened.
Don't do it, Miley.
Oh, okay. As I'm talking, I feel like it's getting better. Okay, so something cool that happened. And in 2 Kings chapter 22, it says in verse 8, Hilkiah, I think that's how you say it, the high priest said to Shaphan, the court secretary, I have found the books of the law in the Lord's temple. Then he gave them to Shaphan, and he read them. He went to the king and reported, so your officials have turned over the money collected in the temple, and the Lord and workers and supervisors. Shaphan is also told the king, Hilkiah, the priest, has given me the scrolls. And so, for time's sake, the scrolls talked about the law that Moses had given to the people, and Josiah found out that they weren't following after the rules and the law, and he implemented the law back to get people to following after and being obedient to God. And something really interesting and cool is that this happened when they were cleaning out the temple. They were doing something, taking care of stuff, and so maybe, since you have a whole lot of time off of school, you need to clean some things up. Maybe you need to clean your room. Maybe you need to get rid of some junk. Maybe it's in a time of cleaning that God can pull things back together for you and maybe call you back to what he originally had spoken to you, or maybe a dream he had given you, a talent, something that God has gifted you, and you said, you know what, I haven't done this in a while. I'm going to try and do it. I'm going to try during this time to work on that. So that's the story of Josiah, as best as I can tell it while my mouth is on fire. Travis, it's your turn now. I'm going to try and finish one wing.
I was going to say we should all take our second wing and start on our second wing, but
I'll get my second wing while you're speaking, so go ahead.
Miley, you ready for wing number 2?
Totally.
All right, here we go. Wing number 2. I really want to take a drink, not necessarily to help, but it's also because it makes you thirsty.
My lips are vibrating.
Maybe you're getting a phone call.
I can hear through my lips.
I can taste colors. How
All
clean
right.
are we going with these wings? Are we talking like clean or?
Like this. So, trying to figure out the best way to eat these while talking.
You can't. Just talk.
So, my story, Pastor Cody's, came from the Old Testament, and I like it because King Josiah, he was a teenager just like you guys are that are watching this today, and some of you guys, you might be saying, how can I possibly make a difference in the world around me, especially with what's going on right now? But King Josiah, when he found those scrolls and when he found the books of the law that his people weren't currently practicing, and he found those scrolls, he was a teenager, and he completely shifted the atmosphere of the land around him and focused it back on God, and focused it and got the people back on track to what they were supposed to be doing. And so,
Amen.
how can you guys this week be like King Josiah and make a difference in the world around you and be creative? And it is getting better the more you talk. And how can you make a difference in the world around you and be creative in doing it when you can't have physical contact with anybody during this time? So maybe send a text message, maybe FaceTime call, maybe call someone and just encourage them this week. Encourage one another in our youth groups. I know we haven't had service in a couple weeks, but maybe take this time this week while you have some free time and call one of your buddies from the youth group and see how they're doing, check on them and see if they need anything. But my,
Hold on, let's just take some time to pray. I want to pray. Touch my mouth.
That's gross.
Give me healing. Have you opened your ranch yet?
Nope.
Oh.
You guys told me that I was a wuss for eating ranch with it.
That's gross.
Did you just drink it?
I tried. It's gross. Okay, continue with your story.
We look in Acts chapter 9, or chapter 20, verse 9. We see one of the most famous guys in the in the New Testament. Sorry, my mind is going crazy. So I'm just going to read it. It says, and a young man named, this isn't the famous guy, by the way, a young man named Eutychus, sitting at the window, sank into a deep sleep as Paul, that's the famous guy, it just like slides down the back of your throat. It makes you cough. As Paul talked still longer, and so, being overcome by sleep, he fell down from the third story and was taken up dead. And so you guys think that we preach for a long time. Try being there when Paul was preaching. This guy fell asleep and fell out of a window. And it says, but Paul went down and bent over him, taking him in his arms, said, do not be alarmed. And when Paul had gone up and had broken bread and eaten, he conversed with them a long while until daybreak, and so departed. So,
All right, hi. Keep going.
You're like freaking out.
I'm crying. Like my tears are burning my face.
So, this is just a very short story, but it's something that you may not have read on your own. Paul was literally preaching a message about the gospel of Jesus Christ. And he was preaching, don't do it, Miley, for so long that a guy named Eutychus fell asleep and fell out a window. So, Eutychus fell out a window, and Paul stopped what he was doing and went down and prayed for him. He says, hey, ain't nobody got time to be dead. He said, fear not, for this guy's life is still within him. And so the guy came back to life. So the guy was dead, and then now he came back to life. How awesome is that of a story of just God's grace and God's power, about how there isn't anything that isn't in God's control. The power of life and death is in God's hands. And something that all of us need to remember is that no matter what's going on around us, no matter the viruses that are plaguing our lands, or no matter the fear that the enemy tries to attack us with, or anything like that, it's all in God's control. If God can use Paul to heal someone who is dead, think of how he can use each and every one of you guys. And I know that you may not have the opportunity to pray for someone who has passed away as dramatically as Eutychus, but think about how God can use you to speak life into someone this week. I know we don't have we can't have a lot of physical contact with people with social distancing and everything like that. But think about ways that you can make a difference in someone's life this week. Just like Paul, think about how you can tell people about Jesus, just like Paul was doing when God decided to use him. And then also something that we can think of from this Bible study, talking about Eutychus and Paul, is how can we be obedient to God? It says that Paul stopped what he was doing, and he was obedient in what God told him to do. God told him to go down and pray for Eutychus, and then Eutychus's life was restored to him. And so how can we be obedient in doing what God has told us to do personally? I think just a couple of ways that we can do that is, number one, start your prayer life. This is if you don't have a prayer life, this is the perfect time to start. We have nothing but time right now, and so start your prayer time. No matter what time of day it is, but learn to pray and learn to hear God's voice. And when we learn to hear God's voice, that's when we will begin to be obedient to what He tells us to do. And so if He tells you, hey, send a text message to so-and-so, they're really struggling today, we can know that was from God. And when we do it, we're obedient to what God is telling us to do, and we'll be able to have a greater impact on the world around us when we begin to be obedient to God. And so Miley doesn't necessarily have a obscure Bible story, but we asked Miley to join us in this challenge, and she's going to tell her favorite Bible story that she has ever read before. So Miley, why don't you, as me and Pastor Cody, take another wing?
Hey, I've done 3 already.
What?
You're behind.
So
this is 4. You gotta catch up, dude.
As Miley tells her story, we're going to catch up. But before you tell your story, Miley, why don't you take another bite? Sorry, my nose is running like crazy. Why don't we all just take another bite real quick before Miley tells her story?
You can clear your sinuses.
Is it weird that my mouth feels lighter? Like it
Mine is
lost weight?
vibrating and it's all dizzy. Oh my goodness.
After talking that long,
Okay.
I'm finally back to normal.
I'm
That's why you're going. I thought you were gonna preach like a 4-part message, just so you could avoid eating another one. And number 8, go clean your room. Number 9.
Listen to your parents.
Here we go.
10.
Number 4.
I think my mouth went numb. Go ahead, Miley.
I think
Hold
my throat's
on.
bleeding.
I'm afraid that I'm going to need a lot of toilet paper later. And I'm
Charmin
not going to
shortage.
have it. Hashtag Charmin Shortage 2020.
okay.
Oh my goodness.
You
Are
said
you
I didn't have to
licking the
drink
milk? You
it.
can't just kind of. Actually, that's not bad. Here, you want this one? I'm just kidding. Here, there's your milk.
I don't need that.
You're only on wing 3.
Joke's on you, I'm on wing 2.
There are a lot of stories in the Bible, but the one that I like the most and I think is the most interesting and the most craziest one is the weeping girl who runs up to Jesus, and she starts crying and cleaning his feet with her tears and drying it with her own hair. The other disciples in that story, they were judging her and thinking that she was crazy and that was all weird and she was being really weird and she was a really strange girl. But Jesus didn't think much of it. He didn't judge her. Talking is making it worse. He didn't judge her or do anything like that. He thought of her as one of her children. And at that time, a lot of us, as we're going through these times, we think about what other people think of us instead of what we think about ourselves. But in that moment of realization that girl had while asking for healing and asking for healing from Jesus. She didn't care what anybody else felt like. She wasn't worrying about what the disciples were thinking or anything. She just went right to the Lord because she knew that was the right thing to do. So if we just think about that and not think about other people and what they think about us, they might think that it's weird that we run to the Lord when we're in help because we think that we should fix our own problems. But if we... Gosh, the third one is worse. If we run to the Lord and ask Him for help, He will surely help us. He'll understand and He'll justify and give us grace and mercy. Even if we do some crazy things in our life, if we just run back and ask the Lord for forgiveness, He will give it to us. He doesn't judge us or judge what we done wrong or how we're trying to fix it. He'll just fix it, and we just need to be more like that weeping girl. That's all I have.
That's good. Hey, one thing I gotta say, because I know there'll be some of you that think you're all cool and macho, and you're like, hey, those wings aren't that hot. I've done that before. I want you to know, hush, okay? It's not about you right now. This is about my burning mouth, okay? My hands are vibrating, all right? But for real, though, I think all these stories have in common of just being obedient. Paul was obedient. This woman going to Jesus, she was obedient. She couldn't be stopped. Josiah was obedient to following after it. So what is God telling you? Take some time and figure out, now that you have less distractions, what's God speaking to you? Take some time and be obedient to whatever it is He's saying to you. It could be a number of different things. Maybe you need to work on relationships with your family. Maybe you need to reach out to someone. Maybe you need to do something crazy and take a video and just send it to someone to brighten their day. I don't know, but be obedient. I think that's a thing that we can all do. I'm sorry.
I think it's paper towels. So,
Did we do it? Did we last?
one more thing. Just some survival tips. Besides, I really try not to wipe my face, but my nose is running. Miley, have you gotten to watch any good movies while here on quarantine?
Yeah, right before they closed everything down, we went to the movies when spring break happened, and we watched Onward.
This is happening.
That's pretty good.
Oh, it's melted.
What's your favorite Netflix movie right now?
Oh, you did it.
Oh, wow.
What's your favorite
That's like
Netflix
immediate relief.
or Disney Plus movie right now?
Frozen 2.
What's been your favorite movie to watch so far?
My favorite movie? Yeah, I like Frozen too.
Yeah.
I like to sing the songs.
I'm surprised I've lasted this long. This is crazy.
I feel dizzy.
It's like a milkshake, and it's so much better.
Oh my
Why don't
goodness.
you go ahead and take a bite of that?
I'm just gonna wait a little bit longer till you. You're sweating.
So, my favorite Disney Plus movie right now is Pirates of the Caribbean. It's Curse of the Black Pearl. I'm going to take a...
Just do it. Just drink it.
Miley, you win.
Miley, you're more man than me. Or more women, because women can do anything.
So,
dang it, it's melting.
guys, I know this was kind of goofy, and it wasn't super serious, but it's kind of just to give you guys a starting place. Go and read the stories of King Josiah and Paul and the lady who washed Jesus' feet with her hair. Maybe do it while doing the Blazing Challenge, and you can video it and send it to everybody else too.
Don't try
But,
it.
guys, this is our Devo for this week.
We
Make
love
sure
you all.
you like, comment, share it with your friends, and go be Jesus this week, and be a light to everybody, and be obedient to what He tells you to do. So, we'll see you guys.